Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics. And oh dear, Boris Johnson may be in another little bit of legal bother. In this video, I'd like to discuss the judicial review which has been granted to examine the influence that Kerry Simmons, who's the Prime Minister's girlfriend, has over government policy decisions. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, then please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So, it was said a few months ago now by those close to Boris Johnson that our Prime Minister essentially only listens to two people. Dominic Cummings, who's his chief policy advisor effectively, and Kerry Simmons, who's his girlfriend. It actually makes you wonder why he employs such a large group of advisors when he ignores all but one of them. Another waste of public money there. But it is the Prime Minister's girlfriend's influence that is going to be examined in court as a result of a decision on badger culling, of all things. So I'll start by saying, I know people are going to jump into the comments on that issue. I don't know enough to comment on the rights and wrongs of badger culling, particularly in this particular case. The scientific consensus was that the culls should have gone ahead, but it could be argued that their guidelines were in the interests of prioritising farming over wildlife concerns. So, it may be that my natural inclinations would be to oppose the cull, especially when the badgers were supposed to be being vaccinated against TB anyway. But the point is, I don't have enough knowledge on the subject to have a firm opinion, so can't comment on it, but it's not really the point anyway. The point is that the government's advice was to order culls on badgers in 10 counties in order to prevent TB causing a problem for livestock in the area. It was to contain bovine TB. Now, wildlife campaigners, of course, disagree, as you would expect. Kerry Simmons is a staunch campaigner for animal rights, one of the few redeeming features to her character, quite frankly. Now, a few months ago, the government ordered that the planned cull should be scrapped. It has emerged that just before this, Kerry Simmons had been talking to the head of the Badger Trust, Dominic Dyer. It will come as no surprise to learn that Mr. Dyer was not in favour of the badgers being killed like this. So now, the lobby group on the other side of the argument, the National Farmers Union, are saying that the government ignored the scientific evidence in favour of the cull because the Prime Minister is making policy based on what his girlfriend wants. Someone who has, of course, no official position in government. It's not her government positions that Boris Johnson is interested in, I gather. So the High Court has recently ruled that a judicial review can now go ahead to examine the reasons why the government scrapped the cull. Now, from my point of view, this is less about the decision on whether or not to cull badgers, which, as I say, I might be on one side or the other if I researched it properly. It's really about where the Prime Minister is getting his advice from and how is he weighting that advice. And that is ultimately what this judicial review will be about as well. The judges are not saying that the government shouldn't have stopped the cull. I mean, after all, they are politicians. Ministers are politicians. They don't always make decisions based on scientific evidence or anything else. They can just make decisions based on what you might say is the heart. And that's fine. The issue is, on what basis are they doing it? Now, if Boris Johnson is basing his policy decisions on what Simmons wants, in any areas that she has a passionate viewpoint on, then that is not good for the country, and it's certainly not good governance. And although the decision to abort the cull came from the Environment Department, the minister there, Theresa Villiers, did confirm that the Prime Minister was involved in the decision. So it potentially paints a picture of the normal work of government being changed on a whim, according to Johnson's latest bit of skirt. It's bad enough when politicians get to decide policy. Quite frankly, that should be banned. But at least there's a little accountability there. We sort of vote for them, and they occasionally have to sit in front of select committees and answer questions about their actions. It used to happen much more often, but Boris Johnson seems to be putting as much of an end to that as he can. But nobody would expect Kerry Simmons to be hauled in front of a select committee because she has no official position in either advising or implementing policy. And it also means that, just after a few months of Johnson's escapades with the Supreme Court, he's going to be answering to judges again. Along a similarly distant view, I imagine he's not going to get hauled in front of a judge, but I imagine he is going to have to provide written submissions. But he may have to get used to that. you know, with the potential for quite a lot of court cases coming the government's way over Brexit if he doesn't improve his behaviour soon. So I hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, then please also click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.